All right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking into something that could totally change marketing as we know it: content rewards. And our source for this deep dive is an interview on YouTube with this young entrepreneur named Eddie Cumberbatch. And he claims to be making over $1 million a month using this strategy. Oh, and get this, he says he's working with huge EE names like Drake.
Yeah, that's actually what made me take a second look when I saw that. I mean, someone like Drake, that's a pretty big deal, right? It seems like it's starting to get some serious attention, not just the early adopters.
Yeah, exactly. And the numbers he's throwing around are pretty mind-blowing, to say the least. He says he helped Drake get 53 million views for his new album with just $13,000 in ad spend. I mean, can you imagine what that would cost using, like, normal advertising?
Well, it would have been a completely different story. Traditional advertising is kind of struggling to keep up with how fast social media is changing, like organic reach is going down because platforms like Instagram and TikTok are really pushing content that's already proven to be engaging. So it's getting harder and harder for brands and creators to get their stuff seen without paying to promote it.
So how do content rewards fit into all of this? Break it down for us.
Content rewards are basically about giving people an incentive to create and share content that fits with a brand's message, like a very targeted marketing missile, hitting the right people at the right time with the right message.
So it's kind of like influencer marketing, but with a twist.
I guess you could say that. But instead of paying influencers upfront for a sponsored post, brands kind of set up these bounties for user-generated content, UGC, that meets certain criteria, like using a specific song in a TikTok video or reviewing a product on YouTube, anything like that.
And Eddie, he's like the brains behind this whole thing.
Yeah, he's definitely put himself out there as a leader in this new emerging world. It's actually pretty cool how he kind of stumbled onto this strategy while he was working as a, what do you call it, a growth operator for different creators.
Okay, hold on. Back up for a sec. What exactly is a growth operator?
Think of it as someone who helps creators, especially ones with big online audiences, to build businesses that actually make money.
So like a business manager just for influencers?
Yeah, exactly. Eddie was initially focused on helping creators build paid communities, often using platforms like Discord.
Oh, you mean those kind of like exclusive fan clubs where people pay for extra content and access?
Yeah, that's the idea. But he found it really hard to make that model consistently profitable.
Yeah.
It often involved doing a ton of different things like managing the business side, creating the content, even handling sales and marketing.
I bet that got overwhelming pretty quickly, especially if the creator isn't really business-minded themselves.
Oh, absolutely. And the income wasn't always steady, especially once that initial launch hype died down. That's actually what led him to start experimenting with clipping, and then eventually to this idea of content rewards.
Clipping.
Clipping is like taking existing content, say a viral moment from a live stream or something, and you edit it down into a short, catchy video for platforms like TikTok or Instagram.
So he basically took what worked best from his growth operating experience and turned it into its own business.
Exactly. And as he got deeper into this world, he realized that the decline of organic reach was a huge opportunity. Brands and creators were desperate for ways to get their content seen, and content rewards offered a solution.
By kind of hacking the algorithm through mass content distribution.
You could put it that way. It's like creating this ripple effect of engagement. Each clip or share just amplifies the reach of the original content.
And in Drake's case, it seems like it worked incredibly well. Let's dive into how Eddie used this strategy to get those 53 million views for Drake's album.
Okay, so he set up this system where creators, or clip curators as he calls them, earned 70 cents for every 1,000 views for any content related to the new album. This basically got tons of creators on board, all creating content featuring the music.
So who are these clip curators? Are they like a special type of creator?
Well, they're creators who are really good at finding those viral moments, editing them down, and then sharing them across social media. And with content rewards, they're not just doing it for exposure anymore. They're actually getting paid based on how well their content does.
That makes sense. It sounds like a pretty sweet deal for creators. No contracts, no negotiations, just get paid based on your success. But how did Eddie manage the costs for Drake? I mean, those payouts could really add up with 53 million views.
Well, that's the smart part. Eddie set a maximum payout of $1,000 per clip. This way, the brand was protected from overspending, but still allowed for those huge viral hits.
So it was a calculated risk.
Exactly. It's a really smart risk mitigation strategy that benefits both the brand and the creators.
Brands get a ton of exposure for cheap, creators get paid for their work. Sounds like a win-win. But are content rewards only for the music industry?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Eddie's actually been using this model across a bunch of different industries like software, e-commerce, even physical businesses like Chipotle.
Wait, Chipotle, how does that even work?
He talked about hiding QR codes in Chipotle restaurants and offering a big cash reward to the first person who finds each one.
Like a real-life treasure hunt. That's a pretty clever way to get people in the door.
Right. And then on top of that, he wants to add content rewards for people who make videos about the challenge, which would amplify the reach even more. It's a cool way to combine online and offline marketing.
It's like encouraging customers to become brand ambassadors, but can this really work for businesses that aren't already, viral?
That's a good question. And it's something Eddie seems to be figuring out as he goes. He said he's had to adjust the payout structures for some clients. For example, with businesses that aren't as viral, he might combine a small retainer with per-view rewards, just to balance the risk and reward for both sides.
Interesting how he's tweaking the model for different situations. So is this the future of advertising then? Are content rewards going to totally replace traditional advertising like Facebook and Google Ads?
Well, it's definitely possible. As content rewards get more sophisticated and more brands see the value in working directly with creators, they might start to move their advertising budgets away from those big platforms. It's like a shift towards a more decentralized and democratized marketing world.
So instead of paying a platform to spread your message, you're investing directly in the people who are making the content that your audience actually connects with.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to big brands and famous influencers either. Eddie actually thinks that every business, no matter how big or small, can use content rewards to grow.
So it's kind of like a marketing revolution.
It really could be. We're talking about a fundamental shift in how brands connect with their audiences, moving away from intrusive advertising and towards a more organic and participatory approach.
Wow, this is a lot to think about. It sounds really promising. But are there any downsides to this content rewards utopia? Is it all sunshine and rainbows?
That's a great question. While this model offers some really exciting possibilities, there are definitely some challenges and risks to think about. One big concern is the potential for saturation. What happens when every single brand jumps on the content rewards bandwagon?
Will creators still be able to stand out? Will brands still get the same impact? And what about the cost? Will it just become too expensive for smaller businesses to even compete?
Those are all really important questions. As the market gets more crowded, the competition for creators and attention is going to get fierce. Brands are going to have to be a lot more strategic and creative to avoid getting lost in the noise.
So it's not just a magic bullet, huh? It takes careful planning and execution to really make content rewards work.
Absolutely. And there are other things to consider too, like quality control of the user-generated content and the ethics of working with creators.
Those are all crucial factors to keep in mind as this model develops.
Right. But overall, I think it's safe to say that content rewards are a force to be reckoned with. It's going to be fascinating to see how this all plays out.
It feels like we're just scratching the surface here. There's so much more to explore.
Oh yeah, we've only just begun.
And with that in mind, we'll be diving deeper into the world of content rewards in part 2. We'll be looking at the rise of clip curators, the potential for global impact, and some of the amazing possibilities this model holds for the future.
Welcome back to our deep dive into content rewards. So before the break, we were talking about how Eddie Cumberbatch, this 20-year-old marketing whiz kid, is using this model across all kinds of industries.
Yeah, it really is amazing how adaptable this approach seems to be. We've talked about music, we even talked about Chipotle. But Eddie's not stopping there. He's even thinking about pitching this to governments for tourism campaigns. Wow, now that's thinking big. I can definitely see how this could be huge EE for a country that wants to get more tourists.
Right. Like imagine a country like Qatar. They're trying to, move away from just oil and get more people to visit. Content rewards could be a total game changer for them. They could tap into this like global network of travel influencers and creators showcasing all the cool stuff they have to offer in a way that feels authentic.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot more targeted and probably cheaper than like TV commercials or billboards.
Exactly. And it could create a level of buzz that those old school methods just can't touch. We're talking about millions of people sharing their experiences and making content that naturally promotes the destination.
Like word of mouth marketing, but on steroids.
Exactly. And this whole idea of these content rewards agencies that Eddie's starting
Yeah.
is fascinating. He's basically building this network of mini Eddies, training these aspiring clip curators and connecting them with clients.
It's like he's creating a whole new industry around this strategy. What do you think about the long-term potential of this? Do you think these agencies could become as powerful as traditional advertising agencies?
It's definitely possible. As this model gets more popular, we might see a real shift in power in the marketing world. Traditional ad agencies might find themselves scrambling to catch up as brands realize that working directly with creators is cheaper and just more effective.
It's like cutting out the middleman, right? Investing directly in the people who are already making the content that resonates with your audience.
Exactly. And this shift could really shake things up for the creator economy, too. Content rewards give creators more control over their income and what they create.
Yeah, we were talking earlier about how people are making serious money just by being good at finding and editing these viral clips. Do you think this could create a whole new class of micro entrepreneurs in the creator economy?
Oh, absolutely. It's not just about having millions of followers anymore. It's about having the skills and the hustle to find viral content and turn it into something that people want to watch. Content rewards kind of level the playing field. You don't need a fancy studio or a team of producers. All you need is a good eye for content, some basic editing skills, and the willingness to put in the work.
That's really cool, especially for people who are just starting out and might feel intimidated by the, constantly changing world of online content. It gives everyone a chance to build a successful business around their creativity.
It's a real shift in power, putting creators in the driver's seat. They can choose projects they actually care about instead of feeling pressured to chase every brand deal that comes along.
It's about building a sustainable business around what you love instead of being at the mercy of algorithms and sponsors. Eddie even mentioned that he's seeing established influencers getting in on this too. So it's not just an entry-level thing, it's a real way for creators at all levels to make money.
Yeah, that shows how adaptable and scalable this model is. Whether you're a big-time influencer with millions of followers or just starting out with a few thousand, there's potential to make money with content rewards.
It's like a side hustle that could turn into a full-time gig. But beyond the money, what other benefits do you see for creators who use this model?
Well, it gives them a lot more freedom and flexibility. They're not tied down by contracts or strict brand guidelines. They can be more creative and try new things.
And it creates a more collaborative relationship between brands and creators,
Yeah,
right? It's less transactional and more about working together to create something that benefits everyone.
exactly. It's about brands tapping into the creativity of their fans and actually rewarding them for their contributions. And I really like how Eddie's using his platform to teach other people how to succeed at this. He's sharing his knowledge and connecting aspiring clip curators with opportunities.
Yeah, it's inspiring to see someone so young doing so well and then turning around and helping others do the same. He's not just keeping all the secrets to himself, he's sharing them with the world.
It's like he's saying, hey, I figured out a system that works. Now let me help you guys succeed too. That's a really powerful message, especially in a world that's so focused on competition.
It's about building a community, working together, and making the creator economy more fair and accessible for everyone.
Exactly. And it just goes to show how this new model has the potential to not only change marketing, but also empower people and change how we think about creating and consuming content.
We've talked a lot about the good stuff, but like with anything new, there are also potential challenges and risks to think about. Before the break, we touched on the issue of market saturation. What happens when every brand out there is using content rewards?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. As more and more brands jump on board, competition for creators and attention is going to get even tougher. This could mean lower payouts for creators and less effective campaigns for brands.
So it's not a magic solution. You can't just set it and forget it. Brands will need to be smart and creative to stand out from the crowd.
Absolutely. They'll have to think carefully about who they're trying to reach, what they want to achieve with their campaign, and what kind of content they want to encourage. It's not just about throwing money at creators, it's about building real relationships and creating a community around your brand.
And what about quality control? If you've got thousands of creators making content, how can brands make sure it's all good quality and follows their guidelines?
That's another big one. Brands are going to have to set very clear guidelines for creators and have a solid system for reviewing everything to make sure it's on brand and meets their quality standards.
It's like running a huge brand ambassador program. You have to make sure that everyone representing your brand is on the same page.
Exactly. And like with any marketing strategy, there's always the risk of things not going as planned. For example, Some people are worried that content rewards could actually lead to a drop in the overall quality of online content.
Yeah, I can see that happening. If everyone is just focused on making content that earns rewards, it could stifle creativity and make everything feel the same and less authentic.
That's a good point. It's important to find a balance between encouraging creators and making sure that online content stays diverse and interesting.
It's like any new technology, it can be used for good or bad.
Exactly. And it'll be really interesting to see how this all plays out in the next few years as content rewards become more common and more complex.
It feels like we're at a turning point, witnessing the beginning of a whole new era in marketing and content creation. It's exciting to think about all the possibilities.
I agree. It's a really exciting time to be in this field, watching this new model evolve and shake things up.
So, as we wrap up this part of our deep dive into content rewards, what are the key takeaways? What are the big questions we should all be thinking about as we navigate this new world?
I think the most important thing is to be curious and open-minded. Content rewards are still pretty new, and there's a lot we don't know yet. But there's huge potential to create a content ecosystem that's more fair, engaging, and enriching for everyone.
It's about working together, being innovative, and always being curious about what's coming next. Who knows, maybe someday we'll all be making extra cash as clip curators, sharing our favorite moments and getting rewarded for it.
Now that's a future I can get behind.
All right, welcome back, deep divers. We've been exploring this wild world of content rewards, seeing how it works, how it's being used in different industries, and how it could totally change the marketing game. Now, let's put on our future goggles and imagine where this could all go.
I like that, a glimpse into the content rewards crystal ball. Where do we even start?
Well, Eddie Cumberbatch, our 20-year-old marketing guru, hinted at some pretty crazy possibilities in that interview. He talked about how this strategy could actually disrupt those giant ad platforms like Facebook and Google Ads.
That's a big claim, but I can kind of see how it could happen. As content rewards get more advanced and brands see the value in going straight to the creators, they might start wondering, do we even need these big platforms anymore?
It's like going back to basics, focusing on building those direct connections with your audience. Imagine a world where brands aren't just these faceless companies, but they're actually part of this dynamic content ecosystem, creating with their audiences and rewarding them for contributing.
It's a really interesting power shift, giving more control to both creators and consumers. And it fits with how people are demanding more authenticity and transparency from brands. People are tired of being bombarded with ads that don't mean anything to them. They want to engage with content that's actually interesting and entertaining, and they want to feel like part of a community, not just a target.
Right. It's about going beyond just buying and selling and tapping into the power of shared experiences and real connections. But let's take this even further. What if content rewards went beyond just branded content? Eddie briefly mentioned integrating content rewards into streaming platforms.
Whoa, now that's a really cool idea. Imagine watching your favorite show on Netflix and getting rewarded for making and sharing a clip of that crazy plot twist or that hilarious joke.
It takes fan engagement to a whole new level, and it could benefit everyone. Streaming platforms get more engagement and user-generated content that promotes their shows. Fans get rewarded for being enthusiastic, and creators have another way to make money from their creativity.
It's a win-win-win, just like the whole content rewards model. And it doesn't have to stop at streaming platforms. Imagine social media platforms building content rewards right into their algorithms.
So instead of chasing likes and followers, creators are rewarded for making high-quality content that people genuinely engage with. That could push creators away from clickbait and superficial stuff and encourage them to make more meaningful and valuable content.
Exactly. And it could help fight misinformation and negativity, rewarding content that's informative, inspiring, and positive.
It's like using rewards to shape a better and more enriching online experience. And it aligns with how social media platforms are trying to become more community-focused and less about individual vanity metrics.
It's all about creating a more balanced and sustainable system where both platforms and creators can thrive. But let's think even bigger. What about industries like education and journalism?
Now we're really getting into uncharted territory. How could content rewards transform those fields?
Imagine students getting rewarded for making educational content that explains complicated ideas in a clear and engaging way. It can totally revolutionize how we learn and share knowledge.
It's like taking Khan Academy to the next level, turning students into teachers and letting them contribute to a global pool of knowledge. And in journalism, imagine a system where people are rewarded for contributing accurate, fact-checked news reports from their communities.
It could help fight fake news and empower people to be more involved in how news is gathered. It's like a decentralized, crowdsourced model of journalism that prioritizes accuracy and integrity.
It's a really interesting vision of a future where creating and consuming content aren't just passive things, but active forms of participation and contribution. Everyone could be a learner and a teacher, a consumer and a creator.
It's a future where content is valued not just for entertainment, but for its educational, social, and even economic impact.
And in many ways, that future is already starting to happen. We're seeing the pieces of this new ecosystem come together with the rise of content rewards and the growing recognition of how powerful creator-driven content can be.
It's an exciting time to be watching this transformation happen. It's going to be fascinating to see how these trends develop and shape the future of content, marketing, and even society as a whole.
So deep divers, as we wrap up our exploration of content rewards, what are the main takeaways? What are the big questions we should be asking ourselves as we navigate this new world?
I think the most important thing is to be curious and open-minded. Content rewards are still pretty new, and there's a lot we don't know yet. But there's a real opportunity to create a better, more engaging, and richer content ecosystem that benefits everyone.
It's about working together, trying new things, and always being curious about what's coming next. Who knows, maybe one day we'll all be making some extra cash as clip curators, sharing our favorite moments and getting rewarded for it.
I'd definitely like to see that future.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this thought. As content rewards become more and more popular, how do you think they'll affect your life, your work, and your relationship with the online world? What role do you want to play in shaping this new future? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring, keep creating, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible in this ever-changing world of content.